From Brooklyn. Just in case you needed to be reminded where my sister is from. She is not shy. Let me tell you something. She is not shy. Comment down below if you're not shy to say where you're from because you're so proud of it. You know, if you all, anybody out there that's born and raised in Brooklyn, you know what that is. We're like Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Brooklyn everywhere we go. I have to tell you a confession. We were having a very serious discussion before we got here about just, Manhattan, Staten Island, the Bronx, Queens, and Brooklyn. And we're just so happy that Brooklyn is the best borough in the world. There really is no other borough like Brooklyn. I mean, I just, even just the way it feels, I don't know. I'm like, One of my favorite stickers that I ever saw, it was in a restaurant. Shout out to this Ristorante Italiano. And it was like, Brooklyn, no one likes us and we don't care. And the reason I like that so much is because it kind of speaks to how we grew up. Not overly so sensitive. Like, I guess when, we get offended about everything, because there's lots to be offended in these days, trust me. But I think it kind of like takes you away from having a happy hour experience that we're trying to co-create here. Es true, mi gente, es true. And yeah, and those times had a lot of I would say it really helped to season us for life in more ways than we probably realized back then. Because, when you're young, you don't make the connections. You don't make every connection, and you're not always going to love it all up. But one thing that I do remember being young is that, I don't know, I didn't get offended for so many things. And even just from our family surroundings, like we had family that, they weren't necessarily so cautious about how they use their expression. Let's just say our entire family from both sides, judging by today's standards, we all would have been in detention, we all would have been in problems, we all would have gotten little warnings, probably at our jobs, for our politically incorrect speech. So if you were full of sensitivities in the family, whether they were justified or not, it was sort of like, I have to say, sometimes I didn't love it because sometimes it felt like hazing, right? But it did kind of prepare me to be out there in the world, in different settings, because when you're in school, there's always going to be someone who's not going to be politically correct, or sometimes maybe can come across a little bit like a bully, right? Yeah. And also, too, in the workforce, the competition, shining. There's so many dynamics that get played in the business world, too, that when I look back, I am grateful, even though, like I said, I didn't love every experience, but I'm grateful that we got that training from the family and that we got that training from Brooklyn, because Brooklyn, especially when we were growing up, it was a little bit more tough. There are still really rough and tough parts in Brooklyn. There's also very soft, tender, gentle parts of Brooklyn. Hey, mi gente, I just want to go back to when you were saying that, sometimes it felt like hazing. We're not saying that that's necessarily okay, or that's not hurtful. Because, when she says experiencing moments where things felt like hazing, yeah, that's a real thing. A lot of people experience stuff like that with relatives, And while that's not easy to endure or take, there is something to be said about the muscle that sort of gets developed within you, whether that is that you toughen up in some way, whether that is that you sharpen the way you defend yourself, or the way you advocate, or the ways you navigate that situation. Because like my sister said, like, I don't even think it could be said enough. When you go into school, I'm sorry, kids are straight up mean.
bully. You
Yeah.
know, they're not going to give, some people are going to be like your brothers and sisters. They're going to be family for life. But then there's also going to be those kids that are going to give two shits and will say anything. You know what I always laugh about? Because I remember being in elementary school and people would always say the line, sticks and stones will, break my bones, but words can never hurt me. And as an adult, looking back at that, I laugh because I was like, that's the biggest lie.
Yeah.
I feel like I
That's
feel like
tremendo
that was
bullshit.
the biggest, propaganda we were ever given. Because when we think about the many ways, especially in today's society with modern technology, that words can literally destroy your life, livelihood, and emotions, and in it's just like a whole domino effect of things. It's actually quite humbling, and so no, more things could be very hurtful to you than just stick and stones. Words can do so as well. But going back to the fact that yeah, in life, we're all going to be in situations where you're going to be, like she said, even it could be at work, like work, school, wherever, in the social scene. You will at some point bump into someone that's not going to be nice to you, who's going to give two shits about your feelings. What do you do? What do you do if you don't know, A, how to first of all release it, right? Because sometimes people, maybe in the moment you get off guard and you don't know how to respond, but then afterwards you got to kind of figure out, how do I release that out of myself, how do I let it go? But hopefully you'll be seasoned enough that you can advocate for yourself when it does happen. But it is something that actually for the rest of our life we're always going to be needing that muscle.
Absolutely. It's a muscle that's important to have. In fact, if you look at the statistics, employers, some employers are choosing to hire people. Maybe some of the young people are getting passed up for people maybe within our age group because they want folks that have proven that they have a higher emotional capacity to, like for example, if you're in, like let's say we're here in a restaurant, being in the restaurants industry, it's not easy. Like the people that we've spoken to throughout the years who have served in many different roles within a restaurant, when a customer comes in, sometimes one cranky customer can mess up the vibe for everyone. It's not an easy job, but imagine if your job is to be the representative, right? Your waitress or server, you're representing at that moment the restaurant. If a nasty ass customer comes up, the human in you might want to give that customer a piece of your mind, but then at that moment, the other aspect, right? Other little angel could be like, hello, you're representing a restaurant, how you behave and what you do, how you express yourself with that individual will represent, you will be representing the establishment, the restaurant. If you piss off one customer, they can go Yelp review, or if they have an influence, we've seen that many times, right? Where even big influencers who have a big following, they have many times with their following been responsible for taking down businesses because maybe they had one bad experience, whether it was warranted, on their side or not. But my point is, or our point is that every day, in every way, whether it's in your family or work dynamic, office, you're always going to be surrounded by people that are going to speak a different language, use different words. They may have never even said anything wrong, but their presence might irritate you, or your presence might irritate them, and you're like, I never did anything to this human being. What's going on? And yes, we don't advocate for bullying, but again, because of the times that we're living in right now, I am grateful that we had those tough lessons, that we learned them within the container of, let's say, the family. They weren't perfect sometimes, like you said, no one, if you feel like you going through an experience, it almost feels like hazing because people are having verbal outbursts or emotional tantrums, those are not healthy situations. Our point is that look around you. We are not a healthy society in America. There's a lot of imbalance, there's a lot of sickness. All of us have some sort of imbalance within us, within our family, some parts of us that are not as aligned as we'd like them to be. And sometimes they're cranky versions of us, right? Like everybody has a season. There's been seasons where I've been more on the cranky pants side, and if when you go through that, those are good moments to pause and reflect, like what's irritating you. But always come back, because here's the thing, that some people are getting so irritated with other human beings and their bad behaviors that they just are giving up on humans. They don't even want to talk to people. They want to just sage people out of their lives, and that's just also creating loneliness. So we don't know what the solution is, guys. We don't have it perfect either. We wish everything in our lives were perfect and that everybody communicated perfectly. I wish I had a history of communicating perfectly with people. But you live and you learn and dust up, try again, and just, you know, I guess my main message is don't be discouraged, because stinky people are everywhere. And sometimes it's just a passing moment. Sometimes it's just something's really wrong. You know, people are carrying really, really heavy baggages. There's a lot of people who are sick too. Like every world is their own little universe. So try to be gentle with yourself. Exercise compassion. Exercise boundaries when you can. Don't allow yourself to be in an environment that's hurtful to you, because the human body, the human being can only withstand so much. And lastly, thank you for being here with us, joining us for these little moments where we share these little segments with you guys. We appreciate you, and we are grateful that you tune in, and we'd like to hear from you. So make sure that you comment below. Let us know, how these videos and the topics that we're covering are sitting with you.
And remember that ultimately you're just responsible for your own universe, which is you. And that's where you start. We don't have, there's never going to be one answer, one solution for every challenge or situation or dynamic. And in a world where there's so much instability, so much chaos within and without, right? You got to start there within your universe, and ultimately that's the place we can control. And so, because retreating from the world and folks is also not a practical solution. Sometimes it is. Sometimes a great pause is great for everyone, but and too much of any one thing is never healthy or harmonious. Remember, it's not about balance per se, it's about harmony, right? Because everything's sort of like a dance in life. So, I would definitely recommend, my message to the community is, let's make sure you are constantly checking in with yourself. Real talk, what are the areas that maybe you need to strengthen, and start from that place. But like my sister said, with grace. Do it with that grace. The way you would give grace to someone else, family, friends, do so with yourself as well. And you should tell us what you're holding.
This is a spray that I make. It's called Grace Spray. It's an affirmation spray, and you mist it up. You breathe it in. The intention is very simple. Just have a moment with yourself. Step into grace. Take a deep breath in and relax. This is a favorite of our botanical clients for so many reasons. Some people use it as an affirmation spray. the notes, right? It has a little bit of bay rum and florals, spices, a secret blend of little spicy scents and purified water. And it's made with love.
And in a perfect size, mi gente, carry perfect size to carry in your purse, to take with you to work. It's gentle enough, even in the aromatics, that you don't have to worry about interrupting anyone else's air quality, because we know folks sometimes can get sensitive.
Yeah.
It's a great one to keep in your car to refresh your own car. So it's a you can work with it in multi ways. You could leave it, or you could leave it simply in your own altar at home or favorite little space. But I love that it's in a perfect size to travel with and just have in almost any place. It's very convenient, because the truth is that we all have moments throughout the day where a nice little refresher or mood shifter can be very shifting and very helpful. So you know how we're always recommending little self-care tips, not just but very importantly, practical, simple self-care tips that you can add to your lifestyle. This is one excellent way. So anyone interested in ordering one of these, what should we do? Tell the community.
Send us a direct message or an email to the Perez Sisters NYC@gmail.com. And, it's available for pickup. We're here also on Wednesdays. So if any of you are going to come down and you'd like, Rob, make sure you pack a bottle for me. Let us know so we can make sure that we always have enough. And each bottle is $10, and it comes with a little amethyst crystal inside. And amethyst has a beautiful protective energy as well. And a couple of ways that people use it. Some people like to mist their little pillows, or if, let's say, some testimonials have been, I'm in the subway, some funky vibe has passed me, and then you can mist a little bit on your person. Again, it's like a refresher, like a little, almost, I don't know, like a refreshing moment with yourself. But it can also help shift a vibe when you're not feeling the vibe around you. And the reason I said subway is that sometimes there's some funky energy that pops up in the subway, and then if you're empathic, you might start feeling that. This is like, if you carry in your purse or your bag a little mist, take a deep breath in, remember that God is with you, that you're protected. Remember that grace walks with you. And hopefully this can, a little breath at a time can help shift, and let us know how you like it. It's made with, like I already said, yeah.
And mi gente, also friendly reminder, if you're not into sprays or it makes a great gift. We all know someone who is. So if you're not that person, but you still want to be supportive, entrepreneurs, that it can be given as a gift as well to that person in your life that would appreciate it. And even, just regardless, I'm a big believer in, if you're going to give presents, give them with intention, give gifts of healing. And this is like a great little thoughtful gift to give to someone that you love in your life, or honestly a coworker, just someone that you think could be a useful addition to their life.
Thank you, guys.
Ciao, and thank you again for tuning into the sisters. We'll see you soon.